It's the blackout, Rory got the back out, showing my black ass, engine in the glass house, started in the crack house.
Mark went the back route, killed Bin Laden. Now welcome to the madhouse. That's right, this is a new thing I'm doing. It's a podcast style show. I say podcast style because I guess technically right now it's not a podcast show. We're listening to it on YouTube. Maybe I'll put some background footage, but I don't think that's necessary. Just open a new tab, or if you have YouTube Premium, use that. I feel sorry for a person who watches YouTube on their phone but doesn't have YouTube Premium, because I use it more like a background noise when I have it on my phone. Anyways, do what you do. Yes, the Madhouse. I thought it was a good name, Mark Anthony Davis House. This show will consist of a lot of different guests because I really can't find anyone I want to do this with consistently, or would want to do this with me consistently, that's in my area. The vast majority of my friends, well, for one, I really don't talk to anymore, but also don't live in the same city as me. I was going to have Dantes on for this first one, but he bitched out on me talking about, I ain't gotta do schoolwork, I'm sick. Everyone who's watching right now, let's get a couple boos in the comments from my boy Dantes. Boo. That's what you get for focusing on your academic career, trying to make something of yourself while I'm wasting my time on YouTube. But you know what, it's not a waste of time because I'm feeling good today. I just ate a freaking chicken and kale with guacamole, spinach wrap of some sort. The tortillas made out of spinach. You don't care about that. I'm just saying I'm feeling good because I'm eating well. I'm not dressing well, but I feel good. But here's some of the topics I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the Joker movie. I know I'm a little late on this. I watched it like a day after it came out, so I just don't remember. But I watched it pretty early on, and I want to talk about it as soon as possible. But I still have stuff to say about it. I didn't write anything about it, so hopefully I remember everything. But I also had a couple ideas that I wanted to bat around. Depression amongst youngsters, amongst people my age, a little older, a little younger. It's about that assertion. I feel like that's something that people older than me believe, and it's something that I've talked about with some colleagues of mine. And I'm just interested in talking about that a little bit more. We're going to get into a little bit of politics news, a little bit of game stuff. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully this doesn't go too long, because, you only listen to one person talk for about 40 minutes, hopefully. Maybe that'd be a little... It's already weird enough to listen to a podcast. It's like, this is like I don't know. There's something weird about listening to a conversation that you're not a part of. Like, this on paper, that might seem weird. I've been doing that. I probably listen to more conversations than I've been a part of. Which doesn't seem... Is that bad? Nah, definitely probably is bad. Anyways, this Joker movie. Let's just get off my basic thoughts. I think it was a great movie. And going in, I didn't have any expectations, any nuanced expectation. I just took what people told me. It was a great movie. My mother said it was a great movie. So I'm like, I guess I gotta watch it now. It's not only this big cultural thing at the moment. It's also great, so I'll go watch it. So I was expecting it to be great, but nothing else. And I went there. I wasn't expecting any excessive amount of violence. I wasn't expecting anything in particular. I'm not particularly a DC fan or a Batman or Joker fan. I just went in and I just wanted to see a good movie so I could talk about it on YouTube and people could consume my opinions and I could be a part of a greater discussion. But whatever. I counted how many murders he did. I counted 6. And I thought, and all 6 mattered. He got a triple kill. That was the first 3. Killed his mom, killed the guy who was kind of bullying him or whatever. They killed the guy at the end. I thought that the deaths, those little amount of deaths really went a long way. And I enjoyed that. But I'm not going to talk about the technical aspect. Although I am a film student, I'm not really that. I'm still a student of film, and I'm not going to talk about any technical aspect. I was also watching this out of like some bootleg Arabian server, like out of Riyadh or something, and it kept having like every 10 minutes ads for like some shady betting service, and it had like these big ads come up on screen while the movie was going on. And honestly, I guess I'm just so used to watching bootleg stuff. It didn't matter to me at all. and it was convenient enough. It didn't happen during like especially dramatic parts. But after I finished watching the movie, I didn't see all of it because apparently the runtime is 2 hours, 2 minutes, something like that, and the Arabian server feed was only like 1:54. So maybe they're counting the credits too, and that and all that. But whatever, I got most of it obviously. But after the movie, I went to just Google Joker reviews. Didn't want to read anything in particular, but I went to Metacritic. And I wonder if it still is, because this is about over a week ago now. Jesus Christ. So I'm looking at the Metacritic again. So the score amongst critics is a 59. But that's just the bourgeois reviewing it, right? Let's talk about the proletariat. The user score, baby, a 9.3. And I never got this about Metacritic. Why is the user score on a 10-point scale, but the critics on a 100-point scale? Never really got that. I think the vast majority of people who actually spend money on movies, I think their opinions matter a little bit more than some critic who gets like this their job just one person's job just to watch a movie. I'm not saying that their job isn't important. Like if you're into that, obviously you're gonna read reviews, but I think the vast majority of people who watch the movie, their consensus is pretty much more important. But what I don't get about reviews as well, I know I'm rambling, but it's, podcast style show, you just ramble. But I never got mixed. If you're one person, you don't have like a mixed review. If I give something a 6 out of 10, it's not necessarily like that I'm like, oh, I'm really mulling it over, like they had good parts, they had bad parts. I mean, sometimes you do that, but the vast majority of times you give something a 6. I'm not mixed about it. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. It was okay, so I gave it a 6. It's not mixed about it. So I don't know why they put mixed reviews like for one designation for like something that's in like the 5 to 6 range. But anyways, in this case, it is mixed with the critics because there's a lot of people very positive about it, a lot of people in the middle, and a lot of people, not as much people, but in the mixed and negative side, but together they're about as the same as positive on Metacritic. And I just find it so odd because you look at the negatives, which I'm doing right now. It's let's see, Jack Coyle. Let's see how this guy from the Associated Press. This guy, a calculated combustible concoction designed like its chaos creating character to cause a stir, to provoke and distort. I wish it was as radical as it think it is. Ooh, this guy just thinks he just could talk down on the movie. Like, no, I don't think the point of the movie was meant to be this radical thing. I think he's taken up maybe a subplot, maybe not a subplot, because it actually was part of the main plot, but like an ancillary point is that it wasn't meant to be necessarily, I don't think, a commentary on our society. I think it was merely a fit into the world. It wasn't jarring to me about the aspect of Joker's actions causes, little mini uprising in this one city. What was the director's intentions to say, like, to do like, a class warfare type thing? I don't know. Although it does apply. I don't reject it if that was his goal. I'm just saying he took one small part of the point of the narrative of this Joker character and he's kind of making it the whole thing. I don't think the point of the movie was supposed to be revolutionary. It's supposed to show the character progression of the origins of Joker instead of just fucking whatever this piece of work is talking about. So let's read another guy. Let's read 2 more. I want to read 2 more of these reviews, these little short pieces of reviews off Metacritic. So this is another guy from RogerEbert.com, Glenn Kinney. As social commentary, Joker is pernicious garbage. But besides the wacky pleasures of Phoenix's performance, it also displays some major movie studio core competencies. In a not dissimilar way to that, A Star is Born presented it. I never watched that movie, presented it last year. So I never watched Star is Born, that remake of that old movie. So I don't know what he's talking about there, but I don't think it's pernicious garbage. I don't really like call things high art. This is not in my vocabulary, but I would say if high art means very good movie, that I would say it's high art. Pernicious means having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual, subtle way. So how would this movie have a harmful effect on society? Very few movies have, I don't think, changed much, right? they kind of reinforce things if any societal change comes at all. And I just feel that these bourgeois reviewers are kind of feeling the heat, is that there is with that, especially with the politics, is that there is more and more wealth division, more and more of a stagnation of or perilousness to the quality of life of people under a certain monetary status, a real monetary status, right? And it takes something dramatic in a case. You can see it in any revolution. It takes some dramatic first action, like a catalyst, to just make this thing explode into the oppressed majority to rise up, right? But again, I don't think that's the main part of the movie, but I feel like this guy is scared of that in a way, and he's taking that out of the movie instead of what the movie was actually about, right? Like, that is an aspect of this narrative, but it's about Joker, and it's about building this relationship to Batman, the kid who eventually becomes Batman, right? Yeah, but anyways, I just thought that was very interesting, that this movie, that on its face, not political at all, has been politicized out of fear of politicization and radicalization, I guess. Because if you go on these user reviews, I think people just enjoy the progression of the Joker character and the performance by Phoenix, which was great. And I want to really emphasize that the Joker character in this movie really resonated with me in such a way to, I never felt bad about him killing, especially, not especially, but the first three people. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't kill them, but there wasn't, to his mind, honestly, it wasn't anything societal. Just those people were being very aggressive dicks, and they didn't know the beehive that they were kicking, and they deserve to die. Probably not, maybe, I don't know, but whatever. I sympathize with Joker because, it was tough to deal with these situations and watch and just take it, I guess. And then he killed his mother after finding out that he's been lied to, that his mother was crazy and abused him as a kid, and that kind of made him to the fucked up person and kind of a failure that he is now. And it just seemed reasonable to me that he would kill his mother after all that. I don't remember all the details, but you watch the movie, it made sense to me. And then, killing that guy that got him into the trouble with the gun, and the friend lost his already shitty job, fuck that guy, I didn't feel bad either. About that. Maybe I should. And at the end, when he kills the Jackie Gleason character, I forgot his name, I didn't feel bad. I did not feel bad. Thought it was a pretty, in terms of the narrative, it was pretty dramatic end to that story. Or, yeah, it wasn't the end, but it was a pretty dramatic moment. I did like it, and Joker did a great job of explaining himself right before, like explaining why he murdered him before he did it. Like why kind of like bucking himself up to murder him by listening, like, you basically use me as a laughing stock. You're not here to help my career. You're merely here to point and laugh like everyone else has did in my life. And you know what? Hell yeah, man. You do that. You blow his brains out on live TV. That's wild. I kind of want to watch. I know it's fucked up to say, but something about like seeing those, like, have live executions on TV or people killing themselves on TV. As a kid, I was obsessed with gore because I always used to play Call of Duty games and or just first person shooters in general, Medal of Honor, Battlefield as well, and Gears of War, not a first person shooter, but still very gory. And I feel like you're not being real with me. I feel like there's not a realistic portrayal, which in most cases it wasn't, of the human anatomy under, let's say, stress of bullets and blades. I don't think the body would look like that. I think it would be a little more little more detail, a little more nasty, a little more blood everywhere. So I was obsessed with just looking up war footage, not necessarily car crash stuff, but bank robberies gone wrong. I saw one bank robbery gone wrong on live leak, and a guy got shot in the head, and it's like the wig he put on to rob the store with, or it was a bank. It was some type of small bank. It wasn't a big bank, but they had footage of it. He gets out of the bank, and the cops just shoot him right in the head, and his wig just flies off. And since the way the camera was positioned, his head didn't explode, because that's not really what happens when you shoot someone in the head, unless when you're doing it with like a rifle, you hit them in the right spot. Usually, most of the time, it just goes straight through, and the exit wound might be a little nasty around the exit wound, but still, it's not going to be this big thing, at least from what I've seen, because you're shooting with small caliber pistols that are really just meant to rattle inside the body instead of go straight through the body, to do more damage. So I didn't really see the exit wound because of the way the camera's positioned. He falls behind a car, like between the car and a building, and the camera's on the opposite side of the street. So you see his body just fall to the behind the car. You don't see his body anymore, but you see his wig just fly up cartoonishly, and then it falls. And I thought, you know what? I didn't really get what I wanted from this gore research, but I was pretty happy. But eventually, I tell this story a lot. Eventually, I did get the gore that I was looking for. Kinda, is that junior year of high school? I'm chilling. It was a nice day in study hall. I was did what I usually do. I sat right next to Sam, all the cool people that were in that study hall. And at beginning of the study hall, I just change my clothes and I go for a run for about 25-30 minutes. Come back inside. I don't think I changed my clothes. That's not important. But I go sit back down, and I was talking about, I don't know how we got to this discussion, but me and my friend Elijah, who was sitting across from me, started talking about like violent stuff, and we wanted to watch this like gory stuff in study hall. And he was like, I brought up World War II footage, trying to find some World War II footage we could watch, and he brought up ISIS beheadings. So I think he's the one that won that battle in terms of the gore footage, which eventually, obviously he did, because I tried to look at that video. There was nothing there. It was just stock footage of people running and tanks exploding. I mean, there was violence in there, but it's not bodily, like the detailed bodily violence. But then we watched on live leak ISIS beheading, and it wasn't the one that everyone saw with the guy, taking the speech, doing a speech. I never saw that one, but it was another one where a couple ISIS guys were chasing down. We don't know who. I don't know anything of the story of this, but he was chasing down like 5 ISIS guys chasing down like 3 just scared out of their mind Arabian people. I don't know where this is. And they're running away in the desert, and then they got 3 people, got a straggler, held him down, and just started with just a regular ass knife, just sawing away at his neck, throat first, and very, very deep dark blood. And saw a guy life come out of his life leave his eyes, and see someone's head come off. And I was very, very, very perturbed for the rest of the week. I took off my jacket, I wrapped it around my neck, I sat at the other side of the table, and I made a scene. I was very sensitive with people touching my neck. Whenever someone touched my neck, I jumped a little bit, like I was traumatized from this. It wasn't even my neck that was getting cut. This guy's on the other side of the planet. I'm scared of ISIS now because I just saw a beheading. I'm like, man, they're doing that they're doing that now? Jeez, can't this be enough with cutting clits off? Not taking a man's head off. This is a step too far in my book. Jesus Christ. But anyways, next topic, let's topic. I was thinking about, it was like a month and a half ago now. It was talking about what brought this up? It was a project I was doing for English class, and it's supposed to be a personal narrative. It could be the time frame, doesn't matter, any part of life, and it could be as big, small as you want in terms of time, but it just has to meet like 100,000. No, not 100,000. 1,500 words, a couple pages or whatever, however many pages that is. and, write it like a narrative. We want dialogue. We want scenes, all this. And one day we had to like talk about it with the person, just another person in the class, not the person next to us. But so this girl comes over, we talk about our things. I think she talks about hers first. She focused on high school, talking about a narrative in high school and how she was like really depressed, skipped a lot of class, smoked a lot of weed or whatever. All cool things in my book, or not the depressed part. But you skip class, smoke weed. That seems like that's what we go to school. That's what we sign up to school for. It's just to skip it and do other stuff on the side. And she just went on talking about how she struggled with depression because she didn't really have anyone to really go to. And I'm not going into all the details or whatever, but it's made me think about depression amongst youngsters, because I hear a lot about that. Depression is I get a lot of explanations of what depression is caused by, but I just know there's a lot of it going around. And maybe this was here before in other past generations. I really can't speak to it, but I'd rather just speak to what I hear. And I remember in a senior high school in AP government class, someone was given an anecdote. No, yeah, it's anecdote. I thought I said antidote. Yeah, she said an anecdote about something to speak to a point that the great teacher Brendan Gonzalez made. She wanted to use an anecdote to speak to a point that he made, and then this guy, won't say his name, but his brother tried to bomb the school. I'll say that much. Maybe that speaks to his character. But he said, anecdotal evidence is bullshit, or something like that. A very dismissive, unwarranted. That's kind of mean. My only rule in life is just, be nice, hear people out, even though you think they're dumb as shit, you just hear them out. And, yeah. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, my point is, I know it's all anecdotal stuff. It's all assertions made up anecdotal evidence, and it could be bullshit, but, at some point you just gotta speak on your truth, what you've experienced, and then you could tell people, and someone else tell you, oh, that's false, because, these stats don't, you might feel that transgender men are a very small part of the population, but don't you know that the census recorded this last time and said 89% of the population is trans, and that's a nice stat for you. That really just changes my mind how I view that, and that's the real oppression of the majority is not recognizing as the super majority. Anyways, but I constantly hear people say that this generation either is or is going to be a group of nihilists, which I disagree with. I think every national story of this generation doing something is evidence against that. Be it the kids who spoke out, well, not just the kids in Florida, but kids across the nation, this great nation, speaking out against, speaking for gun control and in reaction to all these freaking school shootings that are ridiculous, or any shootings in general. That is an expression of a concern for humanity, not a hatred or apathy to it. And I think that maybe these kids might be politically active in a way like the boomer generation, like the people who boycotted Vietnam War, where like after the Vietnam War they kind of just become this regular rank and file, voters. They might just go towards the middle again. But I feel like this has to be different. If this generation doesn't continue to be concerned and tackle things from a left perspective, one that is deeply critical of the current order and really, in all reality, deeply critical of capitalism, how to organize society, we're doomed. Because I think this decade will determine. Miracles usually don't happen, so I'm assuming that a miracle will not happen. But this decade will probably decide the fate of a large swath of humanity. And that sounds ridiculous, but climate thing is looking bad, looking really bad. And wealth inequality, global wealth inequality is just getting worse. People getting hit by this are the poorest, and You think the immigration problem in the Mediterranean, or a couple years ago to Germany and stuff, to Central Europe, is bad, and how we're handling it is bad. Just imagine when like millions and tens of millions and maybe even hundreds of millions of eventually will have to migrate into very small parts of the world. And an economic hit as well, but that's not really the point. I guess it slides right into the political aspect of this. I was want to focus on the Democratic primary, but I guess not. I do find the Democratic primary very interesting. Not in a good way. It's not a good interesting. It's a bad interesting. It's like a roll my eyes at it, but I have to keep reading because this is like the future's at stake. Like I said, I think everything's at stake with this decade. And maybe that sounds ridiculous, but I mean, if you have a bad head of state for 10 years in the 1500s, what does that mean? Well, actually, no. I shouldn't say the 1500s. The 1400s, let's say. You have a bad head of state in the 1400s. What does that mean? The destruction of your little country, your state, right? But the world's fine, right? If you have just a dickhead leader. Right now, if you have a bad leader the leader of a extremely powerful country, doesn't want to cooperate with anything that is necessary for humanity to survive past a certain point, that's a pretty big deal. But with that in mind, I would have to say that I'm just learning more and more that I have no clue on how people think outside of my bubble, what people think about, and the things that condition them to have these philosophies. Like, why would anyone think Joe Biden is a good option past the fact that he was vice president for that black guy? Why would anyone think that any of these other candidates besides like Yang, I guess, if you are a nihilist if you think you support Andrew Yang. There's nothing particularly good about him. Well, I mean, for me, I'm a Bernie Sanders guy, and I don't see, if you're not Warren or Sanders, I don't understand what do you think the point of politics is, or what condition you. I don't even know why you vote for Democrats, because if you're just like a rich person voting for Joe Biden, like, why don't you just vote for Trump then? Like, you still want keep your wealth through the tax rates. I don't understand why you just vote for Republican every time. But if you really care about real equality, it's either you vote for Warren or Sanders, and really just vote for Sanders if he just lives. If he's still alive, you just keep voting for Sanders. If he dies, you vote for Warren, because they're critical of the economic aspect, which is the really only way to look at these things. Yes, I'm not dismissing any other group, but to say that economic problems are not the main ones of the day or of all time is to be a revisionist, in my opinion, or have your head in the sand. So, but if you care about equality, you vote for those two. If you care about just yourself, you vote for Republican. There's no in between, and I think you'll relieve yourself of a lot of responsibility, of a lot of mental gymnastics, if you view it that way. I care about economic equality because that trickles out into racial equality, to gender equality. It radiates out to every sort of equality that you value. Eventually we have all the resources to create the utopian society that we dreamed of, that some people dream of. But since we have all the resources in a very small place, and we focus on our culture is focused on competition instead of community, selfishness instead of community, commoditizing instead of actual culture and individual expression. We retreat like individuals when it comes to competition. Anyways, I don't know, but I'll keep on the political news. There's this impeachment bullshit. I don't get it. I mean, I know, like, you have to, like, if any Democrat, I don't get why any Democrat, right? Nancy Pelosi was saying why we shouldn't for all those months, like, she's not trying to impeach the guy. I don't get the point. Like, you're not doing anything. You're just sitting there jacking off in the freaking HOR, and you can't really do anything. You don't have any say in all these circuit court judges, which are gonna fuck us for the rest of the rest of my life probably. And you don't have any really real way to pass any major legislation until 2020, right? So you're just sitting there, just jacking off there. And so that's the only thing you really can do if any substance is impeach the guy. Make sure he at least he's not the one coming back if Republicans, win. If like Pence wins the 2020 election, you make sure that Trump is not back. Like, if Trump's not there, he can't run again, and it's just Pence. There's a way higher chance of a Democrat winning, because Pence is not particularly charismatic, and he might be racist in the right way, but I don't think that would be enough to overcome probably the majority of these mostly Democratic candidates. But I just think if you're a Democrat that was against impeachment, you watch out for them. I think they're chock full of bullshit. But I still think impeachment itself, it doesn't matter. You just, Warren, but definitely Sanders is going to win that election, because he would have won 2016. Definitely would have won in 2016. This is a fucking layup for him, honestly, from a policy standpoint, from every substantive standpoint, besides the fact that he's like really old. He has it. There's nothing better than him right now. And then, Warren's, is up there, way past everyone else. But, she still is still not critical of any other aspect of policy, foreign or domestic. Anyways, I wanted to have Dantes on to have these discussions, and it probably would have been a little more dynamic of a conversation. But I was going to ask him what is his ideology. And right now, I don't feel comfortable giving mine, as obviously I'm coming from a very far left perspective if I'm supporting Bernie Sanders. And I'm saying things like critical capitalism. I'm saying proletariat and bourgeois. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a communist, anarchist. Those things are kind of, for me, they're brother sister to me. I emphasize economic equality. I emphasize that one's expression of humanity, to truly express one's humanity, you have to have a certain amount of social equality to actually be the fully realization of yourself within the community. Humans are nothing without the group, right? And we should emphasize the group's power to improve everyone's welfare. And that means democratization of not only the political sphere, but also the workplace, the intercommunity, the neighborhood, of everything, of sports, of everything. But I'll dive deeper into that if I had another person to bounce off of. So that's all I want to talk about that for now. I guess I close out the politics segment by saying I stopped kind of reading politics news for like 3 weeks ago. Kind of just focus on the YouTube channel and upload a lot more videos, but I do feel I stopped reading them because I feel like most of the news going on is bullshit. I really don't know there's nothing going on that's important. Impeachment doesn't matter to me. Like I said, if Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren win, they're most likely going to beat him. Joe Biden, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's another Hillary Clinton situation, but it's going to be different. It's going to express itself in the same way, but I think it's going to be a different path to get there. It might be, it might end in a tragedy. Well, I wouldn't form it as a tragedy, but people online will form like this is a tragedy. I mean, I guess it would be. Again, the 2020s would be one of judgment. It would be our judgment decade. But let's move on to something a little more lighthearted. Let's talk about games, baby. Games, baby. I love playing games. What have I been playing? I've been playing some. Who am I sneeze? I'm playing some Super Mario Bros. I talked about this for my last update. I'm playing some Super Mario Brothers Wii U Deluxe. Almost finished with that. I don't have much to say about that, so I'll skip that. I want to really talk about Pokemon and where my status with that lies. There hasn't been really much important news that I found about Pokemon Sword and Shield games, everything that we know that I knew like around E3 and around Direct is still in effect. The National Dex is still going to be the thing that it is, and that's pretty much the only big thing. So in terms of Pokemon, how my relationship with it, I haven't played Pokemon until this week. I haven't played Pokemon in like a good 2 months, like 2.5 months. I didn't play Pokemon. And that's because I was kind of defeated by the fact that it's gonna all come to an end. That not the series I was going to come to the end, but all the Pokemon I had so much fun with that I've been transferring up from Gen 3 to Gen 4 to Black and White to X and Y into the Pokemon Bank, and I have Pokemon I caught in Sinnoh and in freaking what's it called? The Sun and Moon games. I have 90. The Houndour that I named after the Beagle that I had as a kid, named 90. It has so much the layers of sentimentality to transferring those Pokemon up, and it does suck. I can't bring it back, but I am gonna have the games. I am gonna do a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Shield starting on the Monday after the game comes out, so that's the 18th of next month. And I guess that's pretty much the only thing I want to talk about in terms of games. I haven't played a lot of Madden 25. Oh, I do want to talk about this Madden 25. I'm still playing that game. I watch the new Madden games. I always watch every year to see these Madden games really worth getting. They had one, I think 2 years ago, that had like a story mode that looked like it was going to be something, but it ended up being like this very short thing. I'm very happy I didn't buy it because this was going to be the same connected franchise mode. And I'm playing, and since Madden 25, haven't bought a single Madden game. I played Madden 16 with the EA Access trial, and it seemed pretty fun, And I think I played Madden 17 with Sam on his PlayStation, on his PS4. And that was pretty fun, but it's not worth $60 to get, is all I'm saying. But it seems pretty much the same game with a little minor changes, but substantively the same. I'm playing a lot of Madden 25, and I picked the Jaguars because if I'm a new head coach in the league, I'm probably the most likely job that you're going to get is the one that was from a team that was the worst last year. So in 2012, I think the Jaguars went 2-14, and so I picked them. I immediately signed like a bunch of people out of free agency, like Randy Moss and stuff. Signed a bunch of players I didn't need out of free agency, but they had high ratings, so I could trade them to get other guys. I traded Maurice Jones-Drew to get Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford had a decent rating, man, 25, like an 86 overall. And I changed up a lot of the roster. And eventually, that year, I went 14-2, won a Super Bowl. Sam Bradford got injured a lot, but he still ended up coming through with 4,600 yards, 55 touchdowns. And now I'm in the second season now. I'm 12-2 right now. Sam Bradford beat the record, his own record for touchdowns. It's like 60-something now. And he already has like 6,000 yards. And we have 2 games left. So I could get to 7,000 if I really tried. And the thing is, some of the games are still close with me drawing ridiculous amounts. And I'm really enjoying playing the game on All Pro, the one right below All Madden. I just feel like All Madden is just, I can't even throw the ball. Maybe it's just me, but anyways, I guess that's it. I'm gonna cut that short. Let's start the ending sequence, baby. I'm about to dodge the Rainmaker 3 times, then get hit with it, then kick out at 2.5, then do my finishing move, and then he kicks out at 2, and then he hits me. No, I dodge the Rainmaker 3 more times. Whop, whop, whop. I dodged 3 more times. Then, we wrestle for like 5 more minutes. Then out of nowhere, hits me with the Rainmaker right in the chest. Bang! And 1, and 2, and 3. Now it's the ending sequence. Okay, so this is like the final part that I want to talk about, is that going forward with this podcast, next week I'm going to upload this interview that I did with one of my mother's co-workers who's writing a show, and the audio is not going to be the best quality, but I think it's still something there if you're interested. There's information there if you're interested. I think he's an interesting guy, and the stuff that he articulates might be good enough background noise for you to play Madden, let's say. So I hope you find that interesting. Right now, I'm looking for any guest that wants to be on the show. You live in the New Orleans area. We can make this thing work, baby. We can make this thing work. I want anyone on, anyone who's willing to talk, anyone who's looking for just anything. You're lonely, you want a conversation, let's record it, man. And hopefully you see potential in this and you come back, you subscribe, and you come back for more. But throughout my life, my recent life, I have a concern of my words not resonating. I say a lot of stuff that I think is funny, but to no laughter. I say things that I've thought about a lot, observations that I've had, or ideas that I've had that I thought about a lot, and I said them to no remark, either positive or negative. And I do have a strong fear of my words not resonating. So hopefully here, that fear is bucked, hopefully, and it ends up being just an insecurity of mine. Anyways, and that's all I gotta say now. Thank you so much for listening and supporting me. And I gotta say, people, the rest of this year, 2020, business is about to pick up.